Deuteronomy Chapter 12.
These are the statutes and judgments, the law, which you must observe to do. In the land which Yahweh, the heavenly Father of your fathers, is giving you to possess, all the days that you live upon the earth. You must utterly destroy all the places where the nations you shall drive out worship their gods, Elohim, on the high mountains, on the hills, and under every spreading tree. You must destroy their altars, break down their sacred pillars, images of the sun god Baal, and burn their sacred poles, Asherah poles. Cut down the images of their gods, Elohim, Teraphim, and wipe out their names from those places. You must not worship Yahweh your Father in such ways. Yahweh your Father is not a God, El. But you are to seek the habitation of your father, the house of Yahweh, the place which Yahweh your father shall choose out of all your tribes to establish his name. And there you must go. There you must bring your burnt offerings and sacrifices, your tithes and special gifts you have vowed to give, your freewill offerings, and the firstborn of your herds and flocks. There, in front of Yahweh your father, you and your family shall eat, and you shall rejoice in all that you have put your hand to do, because Yahweh your Father has blessed you. You must not at all do as we are doing here this day, every man doing whatever is right in his own eyes, since you have not yet come to the rest and the inheritance Yahweh your Father is giving you. But when you cross over the Jordan and live in the land Yahweh your Father is giving you to inherit, and when he gives you rest from all your enemies round about you, and you live in safety, then there will be a place Yahweh will choose to establish his name, and there you will bring all that I command you, your burnt offerings and sacrifices, your tithes and special gifts, and all the choice things you have vowed to Yahweh. And you shall rejoice in front of Yahweh, you and your wives, your sons, your daughters, your men servants, your maid servants, and the Levite who lives within your gates, since he has no portion, no inheritance with you. Be careful not to sacrifice your burnt offerings in every place you please, but only in the place Yahweh chooses, out of one of your tribes. There you must offer your burnt offerings, and there you must do all that I command you. Nevertheless, you may slaughter your animals in any of your towns, and eat as much of the clean meat as you want, just as if it were gazelle or deer, according to the blessing Yahweh your Father gives you. Both the clean and unclean may eat of this. Only you must not eat the blood. You must pour it on the ground like water. You must not eat the tithe of your grain, new wine and oil, or the firstborn of your herds and flocks, or whatever you have vowed to give, or your freewill offerings or special gifts in your own cities. But you must eat these in front of Yahweh your Father, in the place Yahweh your Father chooses. You and your wives, your son and your daughter, your manservant, your maidservant, and the Levite who lives within your gates. And you shall rejoice in front of Yahweh your Father in everything you put your hand to do. Be careful that you do not neglect the Levite as long as you live in your land. When Yahweh your Father enlarges your territory, as he has promised you, and you say, I would like some meat to eat, because you want to eat meat, then you may eat as much meat as you desire. If the place where Yahweh your Father chooses to put his name is too far from you, then you may slaughter from your herd or from your flock Yahweh has given you, just as I have commanded you. And in your own cities you may eat as much of them as you want, just as the gazelle and the deer are eaten. So you may eat them. The unclean and the clean alike may eat them. But be sure that you do not eat the blood, because the blood is the life, and you must not eat the life with the meat. You must not eat the blood. Pour it on the ground like water. You must not eat it, so it may go well with you and your children after you, when you have done what is right in the sight of Yahweh. Take only the holy things you have and your vowed offerings, and go to the place Yahweh chooses. There you must offer your burnt offerings, both the meat and the blood, on the altar of Yahweh your Father, and the blood of your sacrifices shall be poured out on the altar of Yahweh your Father. Then you shall eat the meat. Observe and obey all these words I command you, so it may go well with you and with your children after you forever, when you do what is lawful and holy in the sight of Yahweh your Father. When Yahweh your Father cuts off the nations from in front of you, and you displace them and live in their land, be careful not to be ensnared into following them by asking about their gods, Elohim, saying, how did these nations serve their gods, Elohim? I will also do the same. You must not worship Yahweh your Father in their way, for every abomination to Yahweh, which he hates, they have done to their gods, Elohim. They even burned their sons and daughters in the fire as sacrifices to their gods, Elohim. Whatsoever I command you, be careful to observe and do it. You shall not add to it, nor take away from it.